Hey everyone, I'm Shanta Jackson, and my purpose in life is to help people to help themselves and others. Welcome to today's show. Today we're going to talk about Dem Chakras, the seven chakras, the which I like to explain as kind of like the seven energy points that are in our body, and a lot of I guess like new age philosophers and some maybe like yoga instructors and then your IG philosophers. You might have heard of them talk about your root and your third eye and different things like that. But today, my guest, Christian Briana, is joining me. She's the owner of Dem Chakras LLC and also the hostess of Dem Chakras Podcast. And thanks for joining me, Christian.
Of course. Peace and blessings to you and to your tribe, everybody watching and listening. How are you all? How are you today?
You know what? I'm doing really good. I'm doing
Good.
really good. I'm conscious. I'm intentional. I'm grateful.
Yes.
Um, and I really appreciate you. You and I, we connected virtually a
Yep.
few months ago, and you interviewed me on your podcast. We talked
Yep.
about my book, The Journal of a Woman with Lived Experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and you were very insightful. Just like you were mentioning, like you were seeing things like I had never thought of, like
Mm-hmm.
shadow work. I'm like, okay, I'm putting two and two together as you're speaking.
Yeah.
But you're like, oh yeah, you're working on this, and you're pointing out just your perspective of the things that I was talking about was really interesting to me. And then I follow you on Instagram, and I see the things that you talk about. So you were talking about, if you feel a certain way, or if this is what's going on in your life, then maybe your root chakra is blocked, or maybe
Yep.
there's some things kind of going on. But before we get into explaining the seven chakras, I just wanted to remind everyone to please comment and post any questions that you like in the chat box. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Again, thank you everyone for joining us, and my intent is for this to be an enlightening, inspiring, and informational conversation. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully we all learn something new. So let's get into it. Miss Christian Briana, what is like shadow work? What is that?
So I think the best way to explain shadow work is everything that you consider trauma has a reason behind it. And the reason behind it is because you've experienced something in your life that's triggering you to continuously have the same reaction all the time. So the shadow work I call like almost like the equation. It's you getting to the root, no pun intended, but getting to the root of the problem. So it's in writing. So I don't recommend doing shadow work without a journal, which could be a composition notebook, but you're writing down the experiences of your life, and then you're going back in time to figure out when did this happen, who was there when it happened, and then figure out the pinpoints there. So let's say you had a situation with your mom, and maybe the way you view love is a little bit different, and you've experienced a breakup, and then you realize that this continues to happen. So the shadow work would be, okay, when was my first relationship, and what affected my mother loving me or my mother being in a relationship? How did I see my mother love other people, and do I display any of that in the relationships that I'm in? That shadow work. It's literally getting to the bottom of why you do the things that you do, and then healing from that. And healing is also a change in behavior, forgiving yourself, um, things of that nature, because it looks different for other people. So I can't really say what healing looks like, but for sure healing is a change in the behavior that you feel is traumatic, if that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense, and it's interesting the way you explain it. And I'm thinking about also, so this is a form of shadow work is a form of self therapy,
Yes.
and I also, of course, I encourage people to journal. That's what my whole
Yes.
kind of coming out personally was sharing my personal journal entries. Um, but also for those of you who are watching, if this form of exercise or if this shadow work is not working for you, then I would suggest that you seek professional help and you seek a professional counselor or therapist.
Yeah, and shadow work coincides with therapy. So a lot of the time your therapist, I feel like a therapist is a liaison. It's like your emotional liaison. So they're there to ask you the questions that you can't ask yourself because you're you. So when you're you and you're experiencing things as you experience them, you don't have the answer to why you do things. You have the answer, but you don't address the answer. So therapy is there to literally ask you, well, why is it that, this is happening? And then that's kind of how shadow work started for me with my therapist, who I'm not in therapy at the moment. It's like I'm actually looking for a better therapist. But when my therapist would ask me questions, I'm just like, girl, I don't know, like what. And I started to journal it out. And then the more research I did, I found out there's a name to it: shadow work. So, shadow work, self healing, and therapy work hand in hand. And it actually works a bit better, not faster, but it works a bit better if you do use the two together.
Mhm. Mercia Cummings in Waldorf in Southern Maryland
Hmm.
is a really good therapist. I interviewed her personally on my show, and I actually served as a guest on her show as well.
Okay.
And so she's very eclectic and unique, and I think that you two would mesh well together.
Perfect. I'll get her information from you.
Yeah, so she's a practicing Buddhist.
Oh, okay,
And
perfect.
so that's why and I'm thinking about you with the chakras, but her background, she was raised Catholic. But yeah,
Oh,
yeah, definitely you should. I'll make sure I connect you to. But
perfect.
I haven't seen her personally, but
Hmm.
I would recommend her, and I would go to her.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So how did you start this journey to where you're at now? You have your podcast, you have your own brand, you host events, but you also you have different various products relating to health and wellness. How did you start this journey?
So my journey started in like 2018. I was looking for somebody to save me from myself, and that person didn't exist. So I had to become her. And I realized that everything that I needed, I already had. I just had to deal with it. I was very afraid of approaching myself and um, dealing with me because I had a lot going on at the time. My mom was living with us and I had just had a baby. I was going through postpartum depression. It was a very rough time for me. And I started to hate myself. And hate is such a strong word, but I started to hate myself. And I was like, okay, I need therapy. And then I was just thinking like, well, therapy's not really going to do anything for me because my issue is not with other people. My issue is that I have an issue with me. So maybe I need to be my own therapist. So I started to look at things outside of Christianity because at the time I was practicing Christianity. Prayer wasn't enough. Talking to like the pastors and bishops and deacons of my family was not enough. Going to church was not enough. And I said that there has to be something different. I went to it's called the Shifters. They were a group of multiple religions and practices. They had an event in DC, and just the overall event in general was just proof that you have to deal with you first. Like you could do whatever you want to do, but you have to deal with you first. And it was every facet of life somebody had an answer for it. And I was just like, okay, well, if this is possible, then this is possible. Like me dealing with me is possible. And I went home and I started my very first journal, and I knew that what I was trying to do other people needed. So I started posting on Instagram every day, just check-ins, like mental health check-ins about myself, and people started to follow me and they were like, "Girl, this is inspirational. Like you're doing something amazing." And I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to do this, but I got to deal with me in the midst of doing this because I can't sell a dream. I can't sell a facade. I can't be this person who's healing but nobody's seeing the change." So I started meditating and I started looking at the seven chakras, and then once I realized that the seven chakras, it's almost like it spoke to me. It's like this is what the issue is. Your chakras are out of line. They're unharmonious, they're unbalanced, and I could feel it physically, I could feel it spiritually, and I could feel it mentally that there were blockages. So I started the yoga, I started the meditation, I started the root work and the shadow work. And as my chakras started to open up, I started to feel better. And I said, okay, so this is what this is. And over time, I've just kind of perfected the craft. It every day I'm learning, every day I'm healing, but I know where my focus is and I know what's working for me in order for me to be a better person. So that's really where that started from. It just took for me to get so sick of myself that I was just like, I don't want to be this person anymore.
Thanks for sharing that. And I want to transition to talk about the chakras. And for those who are watching, I will have a visual to share so that you can kind of see what it is that we're talking about when
Mhm.
we're mentioning these. And but just a quick check in, really fast. We have Helen Daniel. She says peace and love, beautifuls. Hi, Miss
Hello,
Helen.
beautiful.
Yes, and she's tuning in on YouTube. And then we have Bree Scurry. She's in, I believe Bree's in Las Vegas, and she says, "Good morning, ladies." And for us, it's afternoon.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm glad that you mentioned religion because this topic is new to some people, and
Yeah.
sometimes we're afraid to try different things because we think it's uh, worshiping the devil or some
Yeah.
other spirit or not worshiping God. Um, and I just like to put it out there for everyone that's listening. I meditate on most mornings.
Mm-hmm.
When I do, this is when I have my best days. When I
Right.
don't, I kind of fall off sometimes, but
Yeah.
when I do it consistently, so I meditate, I practice positive affirmations. I say positive things about myself and just about the things that are coming my way.
Yeah.
I say I say what it is that I'm grateful for, and I actually
Mm-hmm.
say what I'm grateful for through prayer.
Yep.
And then I read a little bit of the Quran,
Mm-hmm.
and then I read the Holy Bible.
Yep.
I like the King James version, and
Mm-hmm.
I actually prefer to read the Old Testament, the Torah.
Yep.
And so what I do is I kind of familiarize and then I read a little bit the Seven Spiritual Laws of Success. I've had the book for years,
Yep.
but I just keep rereading it and rereading
Mm-hmm.
it. And I think I just finished the law of karma. So the law of
Okay.
karma. And so I read a little bit, I just kind of take it, but in no way do I feel like, you know what, this is, for me, I feel like the truth is the truth.
Yep.
And when you actually start really studying whatever religious or spiritual text that you go by, not everything, some things are just philosophy and ways of life. It's not always
Mm-hmm.
religion.
Yeah.
Um, but I actually kind of study and I do research and I connect. So, for example, with the seven chakras, it's the philosophy and the practice at the surface. When you research it, it says that it started in India.
It
But
did.
there's also what I've learned are seven principles of power
Mm-hmm.
that originate, they go back to in Africa,
Yep.
and so traditionally and ancient cultures practice these powers, but it also aligns with your seven chakras.
Yep.
My point is that when you open your mind and when you start researching, and as you mentioned, the event that you went to, there
Mm-hmm.
were people from all facets of life with all different beliefs and
Yep.
experiences. But once you kind of sit down, you see how everything connects.
Yep.
We have a few more people. Darnell Beasley, he's in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and he's checking in on YouTube. And he said that I needed to hear this today. Thanks. And he's in the barbershop. I got on him. I said, you had to put my show on in the barbershop.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Raquel, she's in Las Vegas. She says, good day. I'm here for this one. I've actually recently started researching this topic, and she's in Las Vegas. And my mother, Belinda, she's in Las
Yes.
Vegas, and she's tuning in on YouTube. She says, "Great topic today. Praying gets me through my day as well." And
Mm-hmm.
she and her friend Miss Pat in Las Vegas are watching at the flower
Wonderful.
shop on everyone is a Black owned flower shop, Las
Mm-hmm.
Vegas 89106. Check them out. So let me go ahead and share my screen.
Okay.
And if you can just review with everyone, just kind of like walk us through the
Sure.
chakras, and then I'll remove the image from the screen. But I just want to make sure that everyone has a visual of what we're talking about.
Sure.
Okay. So,
So, um, I'm trying to figure out what the best way to approach this is at surface level. So, when you start with your seven chakras, you want to start from the bottom up. So, a lot of people think that you deal with your crown chakra first and then you work your way down, but that would be counterproductive. When you think about your chakras, I want you to think about your developmental stages of life. What do you learn first? And then by the time you depart from this body, what is like the last thing that you learned? So, kind of from childhood to adulthood. And a lot of people shoot to open their third eye first, and that's very problematic because what you're actually asking yourself to do is to have a intuition about things that you don't know yet. So it's almost like an intuition to ignorance, and you want to be careful about that because it opens you up to be gullible to everything that everybody is trying to teach you. You start to receive information and what I call downloads a little differently, and you don't really give yourself time to differentiate between what's true and what's not. So I don't recommend shooting to open one chakra first. Start at your root and work up to your crown. So your root chakra is I call it like your self chakra. That is the developmental stage is from 0 to 12 months. So from the time that you're born until you're about 1 year old, it is all of the things that you're kind of learning during that time. Your demographics at that time, where you live, your immediate family, who's around you a lot, and that's kind of the foundation for how you live your life. So you'll notice that as you get older, the more that you see things about yourself that you may not like or the things that you want to change, you'll notice that it starts at a young age, and your root chakra deals a lot with that. So when your root chakra is unbalanced or it's unharmonious, I don't believe in balancing your chakras, and this is actually through recent research and learning. When you think about balance, you think of everything being the same, like everything, let's think of a scale, everything weighing the same. The goal is not for these things to weigh the same or for them to be equal, it's for them to be harmonious. So that, let's say, in your life, maybe you need to work on communicating better, and then in my life, I need to learn how to not be so fast in my behind and to, give my body to everybody. Your throat chakra might be a bit more unharmonious than the rest of your chakras, when my sacral chakra is more unharmonious than my other chakras, if that makes sense. So I'm not shooting to balance all of this out. I'm shooting for it to be one together, but to know that this is what this looks like. And I'll explain what physical inclinations you'll see when you're realizing that your chakras are either out of whack or, they're completely harmonious together. Your sacral chakra is dealing with sexuality, sensuality, and creativity. So I'm a Black creative. I pay close attention to my sacral chakra because this is Dem Chakras LLC as a whole. Everything is created by myself and my team from Gold Mines Media Network. Shout out to you all. We work as a unit and as a tribe. So my sacral chakra has to be harmonious in order for me to be able to gift you guys anything that I work on underneath the Dem Chakras umbrella. Your solar plexus deals a lot with discernment. So when you want to call BS, somebody's feeding you a bunch of lies, but you know for sure that this is what this is, your solar plexus deals all with that. So when people tell you go with your gut, go with your solar plexus. Your heart is love, it's trust, it's relationships, professional and personal. Your throat chakra is communication. Your third eye chakra is, again, that intuition, not just intuition from people, but from spirit as well. And your third eye and your solar plexus work well together. I don't really deal too much with the crown chakra. And the reason for that is because that has a lot to do with religion and just the way that you worship and the way that you live your life and whom you believe your creator is. So I always recommend that with your crown chakra, that doesn't really open up until later on in life. Do your research and be strong in your beliefs. It's okay for those beliefs to change, but for instance, anybody practicing religion, that is where your crown chakra is. So when you say things like God is speaking to me, or God came to me in a vision, or the universe, gifted me this, that is your crown chakra. It does open up at different points in your life. An unharmonious crown chakra is a whirlwind within itself. I think a lot of people this year alone have had huge adjustments to their crown chakra because they've had a lot of time at home. So people who were once practicing religion may not. People who were not practicing religion at all have found that they need to trust in God now in order to get them through the year. So I don't deal too much with the crown chakra in reference to education or enlightenment, just because that's enlightenment within itself. And I feel like that's something that you have to develop. So whomever that person is, you have to get that understanding for yourself. Um, so those are really your chakras at a glance. Chakras, there's so much to to deal with and to learn about your chakras. Um, Day by day, life by life, moment by moment, you'll notice, like, physically, that things start to change. And when they change physically, you then realize that, maybe a chakra is opening up, maybe a chakra is closed, maybe a chakra is blocked. That is that's a feeling within itself. Um, if you want to get into the physical things about the chakras, so we can talk about how they'll tell you if they're unharmonious or if they're in harmony. Um, we can start with with your root chakra. That is at the base of your spine. So think all the way down, right before your behind, like right before your butt. Anytime you're constipated, anytime your back hurts, your lower back hurts really bad, that could be an inclination, excuse me, that your root chakra is unbalanced. We'll call it unbalanced for today. It's unbalanced when you're dealing with your solar plexus. sexually transmitted infections. For women, bacterial vaginosis. For men, urinary tract infections or problems with just your sexuality in general, intercourse issues, erectile dysfunction. Those are huge inclinations that something's wrong with your sacral chakra, your solar plexus. In the event that you're having a lot of like stomach issues and what you're eating, a lot of gut problems, maybe probiotics, ulcers, will tell you that your solar plexus is very out of whack. Your heart chakra, cancers, heartbreak, grief, all of those things will let you know that your heart chakra is out of whack. With your heart chakra and grieving, it does mean that it's unbalanced, but that also lets you know that you are imbalanced as well, because it's healthy to grieve. Don't hold things in. Your throat chakra, who, with me, my throat, I'm a very urban person. I call myself the ratchet righteous goddess because I am very tell you how it is. I know that my throat chakra is unbalanced when I can't get the words together. I am big on wordplay. So if I cannot put the words together to express to you either how I'm feeling or that you made me angry, even if I'm able to curse you out, my throat chakra is completely imbalanced. When my throat chakra is out of balance, or if your throat chakra is out of balance, you cannot put the words together. You're very hesitant to speak. Your communication is off with people. You're very short, passive aggression. All of that will let you know that your throat chakra is out of whack. And then your third eye chakra, anytime that you feel like you just don't know and you're down on your luck, everything seems like it's going wrong, you are having nightmares are a huge display of your third chakra being out of whack. And I'm not just talking about like being chased in a dream. I'm talking about your nightmares are so vivid and so realistic that you almost feel it like it's waking you up out of your sleep. Those night sweats, headaches, cluster headaches are a huge inclination that you're having issues, problems with your sinuses, even if you're sick. So let's say you have a cold, your third eye could be blocked. Your third eye, your throat, and your heart chakra as well, are a lot of the time when you get sick, they have blockages. And it's mainly because you don't feel good, so you don't want to talk, or, things of that nature. But if your sinuses are messed up and it's not allergies, you're not sick, there's something going on within your third eye and your throat that you want to work out together. So you're either not saying something or you're saying too much. And like I said, I don't really deal with educating people on your crown chakra, but I can say that if you're ever questioning life in general, I know some people, trigger warning, suicidal thoughts, things of that nature. That is a huge inclination that your crown chakra is either blocked or unbalanced.
Thank you for that. And so, listening to your explanation, I'm thinking about, so there are, so with the seven chakras, or the energy systems within our body, it also makes me think like, so there's basically, there's a psychological aspect to this, and then also a physiological or physical aspect to
Yeah.
this. And then I do know that some practitioners, including medical practitioners or even those that practice acupuncture,
Hmm.
and so, from my understanding, some of those practices, they kind of, like I said, when you kind of do research and you kind of put things together, it's kind of like, oh, okay. But
Hmm.
how do we, so with some of the physical aspects, and actually we have a question, and I think we had a question. Latoya, your question is no longer on here, but it was about the root when you were kind of describing some of the physical signs, such as constipation or lower back pain. Um, and just in general, like how do you, so what, let me rewind. What's the practice? Like, what is the practice? Like, how do we, okay, once I start studying a little bit and I'm like, okay, so this is what's probably wrong. I can't get the words in my throat. Like, what do I do? Like, am I meditating and
You're being a better person. That's really what it boils down to. When you start the research with your chakras, you'll almost go into a panic because you think to yourself, everything's out of whack. Everything's broken, everything's out of whack. And that's not true. Every Each chakra is designated to the parts of your body and it's applicable to you. So I don't want you thinking that just because I'm saying that because you're constipated, your root chakra is out of whack. You might just be constipated. It's consistent. think about the things that are consistent in your life that are causing you these physical and these emotional and these mental pains. Um, think holistic. So when we think of holistic as a whole, literally the word whole, holistically, what you can do. So let's say that your root chakra is unbalanced, meditation, of course, but spending time outside. So spending time outside allows you peace and it allows you grounding. Root chakra, being with your root chakra, dealing with your root chakra is all about keeping yourself grounded. Again, it's the personal security of self. So making sure that you're good. Maslow has a hierarchy of needs, that physiological section of like work and being able to pay your bills and being, and then the mental need of being able to be good to you so you can be good to others. That's all there. So you want to make sure that you're spending time outside. One of my favorite things to do when my root chakra might be unbalanced, or even if I'm just looking to keep it harmonious, is to go outside when it's raining and to put my feet in a puddle, like my bare feet in a puddle, and to wash my hands in the rainwater. And it's a cleansing mechanism for me, and it helps me to just feel like one with nature. I might go play in dirt. Like it's getting back to your childhood roots. So you like to jump in puddles and you like to play with dirt as a kid and you like to play with toys and you always wanted to be outside on a playground. Go get on the swings, go spend some time outside underneath a tree, go climb a tree. Nature with your root chakra is huge because again, that's where it all started. And your root chakra is that. Like I said, you're working from the bottom up. With dealing with your sacral chakra, honestly, masturbation is the best way for that because it lets you know everything. Because your sexuality is such a huge part of you once you lose your virginity, even in life, the world is very sexual. You'll notice that if you cannot touch yourself, nobody else is going to be able to touch you and you're going to be able to feel complete. So you have to be able to be one with yourself. Also, loving yourself. That's where those affirmations come in all of your chakras. But with your sacral chakra, that's where affirming yourself really comes in. I am beautiful. I am loved. I know my worth. I am worthy. With your root chakra, I know me. I am grounded. I am protected. I am my first line of defense. With your solar plexus, I trust me. I have a group of people around me in who I trust. I can determine, good advice from bad advice. Dealing with your solar plexus as well, making sure you're eating healthy. Eating healthy is going to affect all of your chakras, but again, we're dealing with your gut. So taking a daily probiotic helps with that. Your heart chakra, just checking in with yourself. Are you in a place where people are consistently hurting your feelings? Are you hurting your own feelings? Saying things like, I love me. I'm worthy. I forgive myself. That is a huge thing. I forgive myself will help you with your heart chakra all together. Your throat chakra. I think one of the best affirmations for your throat chakra is I trust my wording. I trust how I speak to people. The way that I speak to people is fine. If you cannot say any of this with a certain type of gumph, like a certain type of, I call it swag. Like if you cannot say this with the swag in your voice, it's not true. Something's wrong. So if I'm telling myself I trust myself, but it's like I trust myself, I love me, then something's wrong. With your third chakra or your third eye chakra, um, I'm open to new things. I'm open to being enlightened. I trust spirit. Talk to your ancestors. Prayer is huge. Talk to your ancestors, get those downloads, spend some time by yourself. Meditation is huge with your third chakra. They all coexist together. So in everything that I'm saying, what works for one works for the other. You just have to make sure that your comprehension is correct and what you're creating is correct for yourself. Your affirmations are going to differ from person to person. So like I curse in my affirmations. I'd be like, girl, you look good today. You look a bad bitch today. Like that's me. That's how I'm comfortable with myself. Um, I don't keep dumbass people around me. But make it applicable to you. Don't think that you have to be this namaste yogi type of person. Yes, go to yoga. I go to trap yoga. Trap yoga plays two chains in the background and we're getting our root chakra together. That works for some people. I believe that in healing, it has to be applicable to you. I was going to meditations and I was doing these things and I was so bored and it just wasn't working. I'm just like, this don't work for me. And then I found a woman by the name of Ajna Isara on Instagram and how unapologetic she is about everything that she does and how she loves and how she lives that I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna try this, and if the blessings keep rolling in, then this works for me. The reason why people feel like they can't heal is because they don't trust themselves, because they think that if they change and they can't maintain, then their entire world is going to fall apart. And that's not true. It's just that you're growing and you're going through life, and you're trying to get yourself together. You have to do that to the best of your ability. Do what is best for you. I make posts on Instagram every day, motivational minutes, well, almost every day. And it's something about myself. I'm talking to myself, but it's applicable to a lot of people because I heal different. And the way that I heal is applicable to my lifestyle. I'm going to continue to be blessed, and I'm going to continue to grow and go in life because I do what's best for me, and I do it unapologetically. I don't care about what anybody else thinks. I don't care about how people see me going and people see me growing. The reason why my chakras are harmonious is because I stopped paying attention to everything else going on in life, and I started to pay attention to me. Pay attention to you first, and everything else will fall into place. Pay attention to you first when starting this chakra alignment and to get your chakras together, and you'll realize what's off. And then you can apply things to your life again through research. If it sounds like something that'll work, try it. If it doesn't work, try again. That does not mean that you failed. That does not mean that all of a sudden your chakra is blocked. That just means that there's a different approach that has to happen in order for it to happen for you. Latoya said, so it's chakra balancing different layers of your mind, body, and spirit to maintain physical and mental wellness. Yes, that is exactly what that is. That's a great way of comprehending and to overstand and understand this. That's exactly what that is. It's that you are looking at yourself from the inside out. And because you're getting your inside together, you can get your outside together. So maybe in healing your solar plexus, you start to eat differently. Some people go vegan after dealing with with your solar plexus. You realize your gut, isn't treating you right. Meat might be blocking something. Honestly, and this is going to sound kind of crazy, but I was talking to a woman once who told me that she thinks that some chicken that she ate, the chicken went through some trauma in the time of like before it was like killed and cooked to
No,
the point
that's
where
definitely no, that's true. No,
yeah,
that so this is just so for example, and I hate to interrupt you. So I personally sometimes I go through my vegan phase, sometimes I go through my pescatarian phase, and then sometimes I'm just like whatever. However, when I am eating meat, I make sure that I buy so for example, my eggs. I buy it's not
mhm,
cage free. Chickens are not smart. So cage free just means that they open the cage and they expect for the chickens
mhm,
to go out, but the chickens are still in there plucking on each other, right? They're
yep,
plucking on each other, and then a lot of the times because they have these wounds, they're giving them the antibiotics. They're not running around. So I buy free range chicken.
yep,
And my meat, I buy organic chicken. I make sure that I eat. My point is that I eat healthy animals that are in their natural environments, that are able to run around and they're not in stress. If we eat sick and unhealthy things, whatever it is, if we eat mold, we're going to get sick, right? Or
that's what disease
right.
is. Disease is
If it's an
dis-ease.
unhealthy animal, then that's eventually going to come into to us. It passes on. So you have to be mindful of what it is that you eat. I have pulled this up, and I really want to bring this comment because I think it's really important. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you're on today's show. I'm thank you. Like I'm
Of
really really
course,
glad that you're here.
of course.
Um, uh, Darnell Beasley, he says, interesting. I have night terrors from my homeless days. Going to have to go back and listen to this part again. She's very knowledgeable. This can help with my PTSD.
PTSD is a huge,
PS,
huge
PTSD.
PTSD. Yeah, it's a huge inclination that something is blocked. So post-traumatic stress disorder is literally your body's way of telling you that something happened and you're not over it. And that's fine. That's fine. There are things that happened in my childhood that I'm not over. I'm 27 years old. I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm fine. I have issues. That's probably one of the reasons why I curse people out so much, is from being empathetic as a child and then being taken advantage of. So now I'm just like, you can't take advantage of me if I beat you smooth the hell up. So that you said, like, that's still something I'm working on. I'm honest about it. So if you're having trauma from the times of you being homeless, it might be abandonment issues. It might be feeling alone. It might be, and this is not me projecting that onto him. It's just those are things that could be happening. Protection of your soul possessions, of like your tangible possessions. If somebody takes a fork from your house, it's like, yo, run me my fork. That's my fork. Like those things. Those are all inclinations that something's off. So that is your root chakra. That is your third eye chakra, and that is your heart chakra as well. And for men, I noticed that things that help is semen retention. So, not masturbating for 30 to 90 days, not having any type of sexual activity at all for 30 to 90 days, fasting, which also helps, and then cleansing of your home. So, not just smudging like people use sage and Palo Santo. No, literally going into your home and figuring out what things no longer suit or serve you. So you might have like some old clothes in your house from the time that you were homeless that you're holding on to, throw them out. That's just a recommendation for me. Toss them out. You might have something in your house that when you come home every day reminds you of, let's say, the first dollar you ever made that helped you get to where you are. You need to hang that up. You need to and when I say you need to, I'm asking that you consider doing these things. It might be that, maybe you still dress the way that you did, or maybe you find that a certain soda brings you comfort, from the times that you were able to eat. So you want to start to sift those things out of your life, because what that does is it really tells spirit that that's a place that you're most comfortable, and that you would have no problem going back there if it was to happen again. But if you sift it and you get rid of it, spirit can then kind of say like, oh no, this don't suit him no more. Like, he's not comfortable being homeless ever again. Pay your rent on time. Some people who have unbalanced chakras have, especially your root chakra, have poor financial health. They spend money ridiculously. So balance your checkbook. Figure out what bills are due on what day. Push the dates out if necessary. Call, work on your communication with your bill collectors. Let them know that you don't have the money right now and that you want to work on a payment plan. When I tell you that your chakras are the literally the foundation of how you become a better person, you will be surprised in the research of what you find may be off with you and the things that you do daily. Habits, stopping to get coffee every day, you're spending extra money when you could be making coffee at home. It's not even just saving the money, it's the fact is that you've gifted yourself the opportunity to spend some time with yourself in the morning to do something nice for you. That's a gift to you. It's amazing, and I could talk for hours about it, because it's amazing that once the chakras open up and once you start to see the changes in you, how good you feel, to the point where you want to start doing this all the time. The maintenance of your chakras just comes from maintaining good behaviors. And again, good behaviors differ. If cursing people out is getting you to where you need to be in life, and I mean, like, if your mother or father keep asking you for money and you keep telling them no, and now they're taking money from you, if you curse them out one time and then it stops, consider your throat chakra balanced. You have let them know and you've set the boundary with people, you're not going to keep trying me. If you're having issues at work, letting your supervisor know that you need to move teams, that's your solar plexus and your throat chakra working together. If you feel like maybe you need to move, like the neighborhood that you're in is not good for you anymore and you're saving up the money to be able to move, that's that root chakra working. You'd be surprised in daily activity what your chakras are telling you. And it's, again, it's not just the physical thing. It's not just your stomach hurting. It's not just the headache. It's your wallet consistently being empty. It's your car being on E all the time. The fact is, like, you're always eating out. There's little like triggers within those things that are lessons to you that something's off. And once you do, and the research is not just Google. Don't trust everything that you read on Google. I have books that I recommend for people when learning about the chakras. Like there's a book called the Chakra Guide. The Chakras Guide. It's a guide to your chakras on Amazon. Books that I recommend that don't even have anything to do with the chakras but will help. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which I'm reading now. That will help you in all 7 chakras. You will be surprised at how your life changes. As a Man Thinketh is a $5 book on Amazon. If you want to start somewhere, start there. The 4 Agreements, like a $7.99 book. Again, I'm the urban guide to healing. I'm not gonna tell you go out here spend $1,000 on stones and crystals and books, and then there's no way for you to apply it to your life. Go on Amazon. I ask that you consider getting on Amazon, finding what is within your budget, getting those books, because those people have been doing this for a very long time. Talk to those people. Find your yoga instructor of whatever race you are. Get to know somebody who looks like you. My yoga instructor is a Black woman. September, she's amazing. She actually has a Facebook page. She is also, I believe, she has a cosmetic business as well, the Eye Catcher, which deals directly with self healing and growing and everything works together. We were doing what are we dealing with right now? This pandemic. We were doing pandemic related meditation outside around a pool for about a week, maybe a month and a half. That changed my life. I felt so it was hot, about 97 degrees outside, but that changed
That's funny.
my life. It felt so good. It felt so good to just be outside and she's talking to us and the way that she's relating to us, it's not just a breathe in, breathe out. She's like, no, girl, breathe in. You see how you can't breathe right now because it's so hot outside? You know, maybe it's a weight issue. Like she's open and she's honest. And that as well. If you're feeling things, it's not just like I said, a spiritual thing, it's a physical thing. And if you're feeling things that aren't a spiritual thing, I mean a physical thing, it's a spiritual thing. It all coexists with each other. But again, you got to check with self first. Nobody else is going to be able to tell you that your chakras are unaligned. Nobody's going to be able to tell you that your chakras are unbalanced. You're going to be able to tell yourself that your chakras are unbalanced. And it's going to change your life.
Thanks. We have a question. Um, I've heard that garlic blocks a chakra. Have you heard that?
I have not. That's interesting because garlic is a powerhouse. So I eat garlic daily, probably in everything. Garlic powder, garlic salt, fresh garlic, pressed garlic. Garlic is very good for your heart. Garlic does not make your breath smell too good, but garlic is very good for your heart. Garlic is very good for women, for your vaginal system, your entire reproductive system. I have PCOS and endometriosis, so even with garlic, it helps to keep like my pH balanced, and it helps to keep the acidic, the acidic parts of your vagina system. It keeps it down. So I don't know necessarily about garlic blocking anything. If anything, I would think that it would open it, but I'll look into that because maybe it's different for different people. So that might be maybe something that somebody's doing that's affecting them, and maybe they want to get that checked out.
Yeah, I too include garlic in my diet. It's also an anti-inflammatory and, as you were stating, antibacterial.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Before we close out, let's see. I'm trying to find any other comments. Hello, thank you for everyone that's on.
Yes.
Yes.
It's so good. Garlic is so good. If you want to eat something like delicious, I recommend getting some garlic, roasting it, like pressing it out, taking that and mixing it with a little bit of olive oil, like a high fat oil, but good fat. So like olive oil, grapeseed oil, and throwing it over some Brussels sprouts, throwing them in the oven and roasting them. So like it's almost like a potato chip that you're gonna eat it every day. It's the greatest thing in the world, and it helps you use the restroom. So see, like we working our chakras out and eating
Right.
good at the same time. So good, so good.
Well, thank you. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for taking the time to come. It was a
Of
last
course.
minute ask, and you showed up, and I really appreciate you. I appreciate the information that you are sharing. And as I opened up, my intent was for this conversation to serve as not just information, but to inspire and to enlighten others. And so I really, really appreciate you. Uh, if if we want to get in contact with you, in addition to following you on Instagram, and I have your Instagram, so everyone at Dem Chakras,
Hmm.
tell us a little bit more about just your brand, your enterprise, and the products that you sell. And you have an ebook out as well.
Yes. So I wrote an ebook probably 3 weeks ago. I was actually on a business trip, and so I again work with Gold Mines Media Network, which is based out of Detroit, Michigan. And the ultimate goal is to create a network for Black creatives to be able to be their authentic selves. So I sit on that board, and we were together. We were supposed to host a women's retreat this year. I do host retreats as well. And of course, COVID got in the way. So I took that time to write an ebook called Adipose. And Adipose is more of a boudoir photo shoot type of feel with letters to myself about my body dysmorphia. Because I'm a plus size woman, a lot of people have this negative connotation over people being plus size, that they're unhealthy, that they're, gullible people, they're very vulnerable. And I am the total opposite of that. So what I wanted to do was to change the narrative towards the word fat. And adipose, just it's like fat but in cursive. So I wrote Adipose the ebook, which is also on the website, which is Dem Chakras, DemChakras.com, as well as tangible affirmations. So we have affirmation cards on the website as well that you can purchase. I have merchandise on the website that you can purchase, which are things like Ratchet Righteous. If that fits your lifestyle, I tell people that I am what would have happened if Trick Daddy and Joe Scott had a baby. So if that fits you at all, like if you love listening to trap music, but at the same time are working on healing yourself, we have just self-love mugs. There's all kind of things on the website, and that'll be updated soon. The podcast, which is Dem Chakras Pod, we have about 50 episodes from season one, and that's a little bit of everything. You yourself were on the actual podcast in season one, which was an amazing conversation. Using your journal as well, being able to apply those things to my lifestyle. So, guys, if you have not gotten the journal, go get the journal. What else? I have a ton of things going on right now. We're trying to get back into doing like Zoom calls and Zoom meetings. So I'm working on that so that we can interact a bit, more close together. We have Chakra Body Care. So that is my body care company that I actually house my LLC under. That's more so what it was for, which deals with just healing with using things that are good for your self care. Self care is super important. So moisturizing your body. I do body butters and body oils that smell a certain type of way. So we use things like bergamot and peppermint, and we use things like things that people don't even think about using. I have a scent on there called Neo Soul, which deals with amber. And a lot of people like, oh, amber is like Bath and Body Works, like that smells really good. But you'd be surprised at what amber does for the body. Amber helps to regulate a woman just to feel sensual. It deals with the pheromones of a woman, helping her to create more. I don't want to say creating a bit more of sexy, but it does help to blend in with her pheromones so that as she's walking by a man, it helps her to smell better to him. Men are very animalistic creatures. They're more like predators than we are prey, and they're very big on scents. Like, believe it or not, which is something a lot of people don't know, is that even if you don't have a scent during your menstrual cycle, a man can still smell you. So it's a pheromone thing. So amber helps to deal with that. So chakra body care is not just self-care, it's also an education system as well, because in that it teaches you something about your body. There's affirmations that I pair with everybody's order so that as you use these self-care products that you can rub them on yourself. I love myself, I trust myself. And the scents are just general scents. We have like vacation, which smells like pineapple and pear, so they're fun, but at the same token there's a reason behind every scent, and that's on the website as well. My website is one stop shop. You can find every link that you're looking for at DemChakras.com at the top, as well as the bibliography. I cannot speak the bibliography for why I even started these projects.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Um,
Everyone, again, I'm Shanta Jackson, and my purpose in life is to help people to help themselves and others. If you want to learn more about me, visit my website at shantajackson.com, and then also to stay in contact with Christian Briana. And also, if you want to book her for one of your upcoming events, visit her website, DemChakras.com, and you can find her contact information there. Have a great day.